Florida passes anti-trans bill allowing the sexual assault of minors. This one's been rather complicated. There's been a lot of confusion about this one. But pretty much, earlier this year, in the transphobic wave that has just been hitting the United States, Florida has passed House Bill. The House passed Florida House Bill 1475. Now, this bill relates specifically to children in athletics, and it was called out because it's the general heinous shit. But what made this bill especially heinous is the fact that this bill, in cases where a child's gender is challenged, that child is subjected to a series of exams, including a genital exam, which is just flat out sexual assault. Sorry, I'm just trying to think for a second. This got a lot of attention when this started going through. It got passed at the House. It actually got ratified at the House level. Thankfully, it has to then go through the Senate level. And this is where things started to get a little more confusing. Because at the same time, there was Senate Bill 2012 that was going through. And Senate Bill 2012 touches on many of the same things. Athletics, trans inclusion, women's spaces, etc. And what resulted in is when Senate Bill 2012 was stopped, it was deferred. When it was deferred, a lot of people started reporting that the House Bill 1475, had also been stopped. This wasn't true at the time, and we were looking into it and hoping to point this out to people, but thankfully, no. In that time, it has been made clear that both the horrific House Bill 1475 and the Senate Bill 2012 have been deferred. There is a caveat to this, though, and that's the fact that the bill isn't outright dead. If you follow the links that we've given to both bills, it says that they died in Senate, or they died in discussion. They can be brought back. That's the danger. They only died because they ran out of time. However, it seems like they were deliberately pushed out because certain people had taken a stand. Oddly enough, various corporations, various athletes, even entire athletics leagues had told Florida that if you allow this bill, we're just not doing anything in Florida. And of course, there's a financial incentive there, so they were like, okay, let's just try passing this bill off. There's always a fear, though, that it could return at a later date, but that kind of just remains to be seen. Fact is, this isn't the first time a bill like this has attempted to be passed. Back in 2020, it was Idaho who tried the exact same thing with House Bill 500. Thankfully, that was blocked, at least temporarily, by the US District Court. But again, that bill would have had students being sexually assaulted as a means of proving their gender. It really just... This case speaks to the chaos of everything, the fact that a lot of people were confusing Senate Bill 2012 and House Bill 1475, because again, there's just been there's been an explosion of the bills. There's absolutely no way we could cover every single bill that is currently going through on this show. So we kind of have to pick our targets and discuss certain ones. And if you are in Florida, write to your representative, talk to them about this. Whatever you can do, it may seem futile, but you never know. All you can do is whatever you can, sort of thing. And just stay on alert, and see if the bill, they try to bring it back, etc. But it also just speaks to just how much shit the trans community is getting right now, and how much it's been getting for years. Because I I keep linking things back to 2019, but the fact is, it's relevant in a lot of ways. Like, when Rationality Rules put out his video declaring to the world that unless something was done, women's sports would be dead. This would kill women's sport. He didn't want to see the day where women's sport was dominated by XY chromosomes. You know, I stopped and I told people, if this isn't dealt with, this is going to be a problem. And that's exactly what we've seen. We've just seen a rash of these bills. I think half of them are targeting specifically athletics, just pop up all across the US. And thankfully for now, these bills, both SB 2012 and Houston Bill 1475, thankfully they've been deferred for now. For now, they're not going through, but again, it's going to be a long time before the trans community can probably feel safe in the knowledge that it's not going to pass. We're still waiting to see what's happening with the Idaho bill. Has it been killed permanently? Is someone going to try fighting it, etc.? And all of this sort of creates a sense of fatigue. Just talking about updating on what's going on each fortnight. It just adds to a sense of fatigue, because there's part of me that's like, is this ever going to fucking end, or are we just is this just gonna be the rest of our existence? And it's like, I'm someone who hopes, who has a positive outlook that this will pass with time, as trans people become more visible, as they start, meeting with people, connecting with them. I hope it's going to go in the same sort of way as gay rights. But there's always the fear of backsliding, the process of things being pushed back. One thing not to lose sight of is when it comes to things like trans people in sport, trans people in spaces that reflect their gender, etc., we actually do have majority public support. The problem isn't that. The majority of people, you talk to them, you ask them, should trans people be allowed to change their gender on their legal certification? Should they be allowed in gender spaces? The majority of people say yes. The problem is the majority of people are not politically active, they're not getting involved with these things, so you end up in a situation where you've got very vocal bigots who are just constantly demonizing, constantly attacking trans people, and trans people who are just exhausted and on the receiving end of all of that. We'll try to keep on top of the situation as it moves forward. It's been really annoying seeing President Biden talk about how he's apparently got the trans communities back, but he's not doing anything. It's all been hollow platitudes and everything like that, and yeah. I just hope this doesn't keep spreading with the increasing Americanization of politics and being in a Commonwealth country. Same. It's yeah. We actually had a story which I got sent in the other day, which I couldn't do, but it kind of touches upon this. And that's not the sports bill. That is the Supreme Court ruling here in the UK in regards to puberty blockers. In light of that, it's been referenced in a case involving a hospital in Sweden, which is now no longer offering puberty blockers to under 18s. So this stuff can go overseas, sadly, but hopefully it doesn't. And I just wish that I just wish that people had a moral backbone in 2019, because at the very least we would have been able to create a community online where people would come. I know we've got a community here, okay, but like a larger community where people could have come, they could have got support, etc. That's one of the biggest disappointments I really have. That everything sort of fell through, because I remember back in the day the secular community used to be at the forefront when it came to gay rights and everything like that. And it's just like, I wish we could have had the same with trans people, but sadly not.
I remember in 2015 when the US was having their discussion over same-sex marriage, and watching all of the secular community, drag
I remember
all of the homophobia from that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was a great thing, like, to have that community support, like, but no, they won't do that, because to do that, they'd have to out certain people among their community. Jimmy Snow is just a rainbow capitalist. He doesn't fucking care about any of you. He doesn't care about us. He cares about his bottom dollar, and his bottom dollar was defending a rampant transphobe with a history of transphobia, and he still does it to this day.
They don't out homophobia either. Telltale.
That is a point, yeah.
Yeah.
One of
They're
them...
just quiet about it.
Yeah, one of them defended gay genocide, and it's just like, brush it under the rug. So, I wish we had community support. I remember, like, Jen Peoples. She was brilliant. I remember, like, the atheist community of Austin used to, like, really push Jen Peoples, because Jen was also... She is gay, and she served in the military. So with, like, the don't ask, don't tell, she was always upfront debunking, like, the myths about, like, gay people can't be in the military, they can't do these certain things, they're going to be distracted, or they're going to be a distraction, all this. And she was always out there debunking it. It's like, yeah, that's probably part of the reason she supported the trans community and everything, but